What if I told you you are playing the wrong game in your business? What if I told you the old ways of marketing and selling are no longer working like they used to? What if I said that the number one most valuable currency in the world right now, the creator economy that we find ourselves in, is trust? Because it's true. The market has changed. With the rise of AI, where we can literally clone ourselves and have AI write the entire script and have our cloned bot deliver the video. Along with that, the coaching market is so much more sophisticated now. More and more people have had a coach or been through an online course. More and more people have had their fingers burnt by those bro, cigar smoking, Lambo driving coaches. I certainly have. And because of that, we're in a trust recession. People trust less, and it's taking longer for people to make a buying decision. In fact, Google supports this. They found people need to take 7 hours now of consuming content before making a buying decision. Now, you may be hearing that and going, fuck's sake, 7 hours? Like I just managed to put out a few posts a week. But this is actually amazing news. If you are like me and you're heart-led, you're aligned, and you're in this for the right reason. You're not in this just to make a quick buck. So in today's video, I want to talk about how to build this most valuable currency, trust, and 7 or 8 ways, probably 9, maybe 10, and we'll see what comes up. 7 or 8 ways of building trust, and the quickest and slowest ways of building trust, because not all content, not all ways of building trust are created equal. You know, you consume a 1 minute reel. 1 minute reel is very, very different to, say, a 1 minute of a live or 10 minutes of live. So not all content actions are created equal. So I want to talk about the ways of building trust, starting from the slowest to the fastest. Now, the thing with all of these ways of building trust, what we are optimizing for is trust, not conversion. The old ways of marketing was all about how can I convert as quickly as possible. Funnels just focused on how can I extract money out of my client as soon as possible. Whereas this new way of marketing is about how can I build trust as fast as possible. Now, there's still a way to sell, but it's a far more aligned and effortless way of selling. And I'm going to share at the end how to do that in a really relaxed, heart-led, soulful way that doesn't feel icky or sticky or picky. So let's start with the slowest way of building trust, and that is, you wouldn't really expect this, but ads. Now, the key is here, you can build trust with building ads. There's a great entrepreneur guy called Scott Oldfield. He talks about omnipresence, and you've probably been marketed to by him. And a lot of his content, a lot of his ads, don't even have any call to actions. He may just be sharing a testimonial video or a valuable bit of content. And it's something I've really learned from. And I regularly boost my content with very casual CTAs and sometimes no CTAs. I have some testimonial videos, some case study videos that I share that, again, there's no goal here to convert from those ads, but it's about being in your client's mind, filling up those 7 hours. And again, content that is optimized for trust versus content or ads that are optimized for conversion is rated in your client's mind far differently. It's consumed far differently. So you could consume an ad and there's been no call to action but just value. That's very different to consuming an ad which is clearly trying to convert you. So the key here is optimizing your ad for trust. So the second way is newsletters, written blog. Now, there's no these are still very much alive, written blogs and newsletters, especially with the rise of Substack. Now, the reason why I didn't score it higher is probably because I veer on the preference of video and consume more video than written, but this may differ for different people. Some people may just consume written and no video, so for them a written blog or a written newsletter may score higher. But there are some amazing creators, coaches, mentors who have created massive businesses on the back of written content. People like people like Justin Welsh. You know, he has just a newsletter. His whole business has been built on the back of newsletters. So newsletters, blogs are still here and still very, very valuable. Again, if we focus on building trust. Another amazing creator that comes to mind is Benjamin Harvey. He built his whole business on the back of Medium, and he is a very, very successful creator now. He's written many books, many bestsellers, and likely makes 7 figures, and his content is insanely valuable. So written blogs. So shortly after that is social media, and again, I prefer video over written, so these may be the other way around. But again, social media is a great way of building trust. The difference here is content that is focused on teaching and demonstrating is a way to build trust versus content that's constantly trying to sell and convert you. Now, there's a place for selling and conversion, but again, I'll share that towards the end. The key is here that we are demonstrated, we're building authority and trust by teaching, by demonstrating, by sharing, but also by sharing our life. This is another way to build that know, like, and trust factor, because that's the goal here. They know us, they like us, they trust us. So after social media would be podcasts. So podcast is a great way to build trust. You know, imagine being in your client's ears for 30 minutes a day. That is a very, very powerful way to build trust. Think back to the last time you listened to a podcast and perhaps there was a guest that you really thought was valuable. Well, what did you do? You followed them on Instagram, you followed them on YouTube, you probably bought their book, and you started to immerse yourself in their life. So podcasts is an amazing way to build trust. And you don't even need to have your own podcast. You can just go on a tour on getting on other people's podcasts, and you just don't need that many listeners. You know, think of having 100 of your dream clients in the same room. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. You do not need a massive audience. We are after depth here, not width. This is the new way of building a coaching business in this creator economy. It's about depth, not width. Really owning the market, the sub-market, the sub-niche that you're in, and being the go-to authority in that space. So next up from that is long-form video. And I believe the reason why long-form video is more valuable than podcasts is because you can see people, you can see their energy, you can see the fact that perhaps they're not reading a script, and you could just get a better sense of the person. So video, YouTube, great ways of building trust. Now, next up from here is lives. So even more powerful than long form video is a live presentation, whether that's an Instagram live, a YouTube live, a webinar, because the power of lives is that there's no script, there's no edits. You know, people are trusting less and less editing now and are looking for more raw and real content. It's why I do these walk and talk videos, because it's a way of showing you that I can just riff on certain topics. Literally before this video, I was walking, I was sort of imagining and sort of thinking about what I want to talk about, and this idea came through, which often happens when I'm in nature. This idea came through, I started visualizing it in my mind. I wrote a few notes down on my phone, and I'm just riffing. And that builds massive trust. That's my sole purpose of this is to show you that I really care about you, to show you that I I know my topic and I know how to build a highly profitable coaching business. And to give you a sense of my life, this is the life I've created. I walk every day, multiple times a day, by the ocean, and it gives you a better sense of my essence. So live videos, I often do Instagram lives, and client Avi, for example, that was the one shift he made in his business, turning up live every week, and he made his first 10k month in 3.5 weeks with me, and that was his only change he made, because inside of my community we optimize for trust, we optimize for building a business that's aligned, that's congruent, not just focused on conversion, how much money can we extract from our clients as quickly as possible. Now the paradox of this all is you actually end up making a lot more money over the long haul. Anyway, the final way of building trust, and it's the fastest of them all, is in-person events. It's why every quarter I do in-person intensives for my community. We have a whole day together and I invite guests, they pay for a ticket, and a lot of those guests have become clients of mine for a long period of time, because you get a different sense from a person when they're in person. You can feel into their energy, you can feel their nervous system, how regulated they are, how calm they are, how powerful they are, how confident they are. Now, the best way of building trust as a coach in these in-person events is actually coaching live, because I've experienced personally there's nothing more exposing and vulnerable than coaching live in front of an audience, and it is an amazing way to show how powerful you are as a coach. Now, you may not be there yet, and that's totally cool, but my invite in all of this is to start going to the next one up. So for example, if you are blogging right now, maybe look to start running videos. Or if you're focusing on just short form content right now, maybe look to a podcast, or maybe look to a longer form content. My invite is just to start nudging yourself up the ladder and start doing more of these ways of building faster content, because the fastest way, in person, is the most scary, is the most courageous, vulnerable. Coaching live in front of audience, well, that's another kettle of fish. Is that saying? Anyway, I hope you get what I'm saying. Now, how to sell in all of this, because we are here still to make money and to create our dream life, as well as build trust and build authority and make an impact. And the way to sell is to tell stories in a very casual way about your client's success, and drop in the offer name and the success they've done. Because a lot of coaches that run, say, lives or Instagram lives or webinars that I work with, they feel really awkward when it comes to the offer. But the thing is with sales is that you're never just selling one point in time, you're always kind of selling, and the way to always be selling is just casually talk about your client's success in a very relaxed way, but in a way that just builds more credibility to your point. Because every time we make a point, we need to sell it. We need to build conviction in our client's mind, and the best way of doing that is using evidence, is using case studies, is using your stories. And at the end, it's then not about making this one massive grand pitch, but just a very relaxed invite. This is the way we do business inside ECC. It's about making relaxed invites. This is what I call building yes momentum. Now, on the theme of building yes momentum, if you want a complete training on how to build what we call the authority flywheel, which again is this new way of marketing and sales, a new way of building trust, then go ahead and watch this video here where I outline how that works. Sending you so much love from a beautiful day here in paradise. Lots of love. Bye for now.